Just like that, perfect. All right, so now you just gotta give a little trust in me. I'm gonna roll you towards the edge. Won't let you fall, you'll be all right. All right, there we go. Breathe in for me. And breathe out, and just relax as much as you can. There we go, that was great. Hey everybody, Dr. Austin Neibarger, chiropractor here. I've got my friend Abdel in from the gym, NYSC in Astoria. This is his first treatment today, a chiropractor, never been before, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have any ideas about what care is going to look like? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm looking to add a bit more mobility to my lower back.
Perfect. That is a great reason to be here. So today what we're going to do, off camera, I already did his history and intake, no previous traumas, injuries, surgeries. He's clear for adjustments, healthy, functional, and today we're going to hop right into treatment and see how he responds. So since it's Abdel's first time at a chiropractor, you're going to hear me kind of talk through the adjustments a little bit more. I'm going to start off at a light force to see how he responds and slowly work my way up to the tissue tolerance, okay? And we've already done some motion palpation to see how everything moves, what's tight and what's not. But as a chiropractor, I tend to use my hands to get a sense of what's tight, what segments aren't moving super well. We had a discussion before all this about what his goals of care are, what we're looking to do today. The primary thing is a little bit of low back pain with squatting and deadlifting. So what I want to do is release some of the tension through these lumbar erectors and get these joints moving as well. That way he can go in with a full range of motion. After that, we're going to talk about some glute med engagement. We've already walked through a little bit, but I want to show you guys what a typical rehab session looks like a little bit, okay? So let's move into the adjustment and let's see how he feels. So starting up here, basically what's going to happen is you're going to breathe in and breathe out. And as you breathe out, I'm going to lean my weight in and do a small push, okay?
Got it.
So breathe in for me and breathe out. Let that relax. I got you. There you go. Feel that?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, moving well. Breathe in and breathe out. Same thing. Let those shoulders relax a little. There you go. Nice.
Ooh.
Feel all that movement?
Yep.
Yeah? How's it doing so far?
Definitely feels a bit more loose.
A little loose? Excellent. So, because you have a well-developed musculature, what I'm doing is I'm actually pushing it out of the way before applying a thrust. That way the muscle doesn't guard up. That's why things are moving so well so far. So we're going to come up to the head of the table. This is going to be just for this lower neck portion, okay? So we're going to start with a gentle stretch. Any pain here?
Nope.
Perfect. There you go. That's great. There we go. Good stuff. All right, so next up, we're going to go right into that low back, probably the biggest part of why you're here, okay? So let's turn on your side facing the window. No problem with movement. How's the force been? Not too much?
No, it's been perfect.
Excellent.
And the shoulder helped so much.
Nice. Good, good. So,
Is this like the correct position?
yeah, I'm going to move you around. Okay, so great. So on your side, your head's going to relax onto that pillow. You're doing perfect. I'm going to roll this out a little bit, and you're going to cross your arms right here. Then you're going to straighten your bottom leg out and bend your top leg. Just like that, perfect. All right, so now you just got to give a little trust in me. I'm going to roll you towards the edge.
Got it.
Won't let you fall, you'll be all right.
All right.
There we go. Breathe in for me. And breathe out, and just relax as much as you can. There we go. That was great. Fantastic movement. I mean, you've been taking care of your body. It makes my job a lot easier, but that's what we're looking for an adjustment, okay? So let's go on your side facing me here. That was perfect setup. I've got patients for 5 years that don't do it that well, so that's great. Breathe in for me and breathe out. And just relax. I got you. Same thing. There we go. Perfect. Both movements. Good stuff. Let's go on your back. Now we're going to do some long axis distraction of the hip. So you're going to feel that right up here. So just sit, relax. Let me grab your leg. Let it wiggle down. And I'm just going to grab it like this. Any previous hip, knee, ankle surgeries, tears? I know we already reviewed this, but I like to double check. Let that knee bend. Let that relax. There you go. Feel that in the hip a little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit? So scoot up a tad, we're gonna do it again. And I might do a little manual therapy on the hip just to make sure we loosen you up. So drop that down. There you go, now you know what's coming. There we go, good. Let's do the other side. Great repositioning. There we go. Bend the knee, let that relax. There we go. A little bit more in the hip that time. Perfect. Okay, so now as a bonus, people that are built well and have office jobs, I tend to do another mid-back move. So I'm gonna have you sit up, and then you're gonna lay back on this. There we go. All right, so then you're gonna cross your arms. You're already doing great. Go right there. Is this comfortable for the shoulder? Okay, breathe in for me. And breathe out. And here's a little half hug. There you go. Move perfect. All right, so interlace your fingers on your stomach. So this is kind of the move that most people getting adjusted the first time are always a little bit tight on. So your neck already moved face down, which is great. So we don't need to do anything aggressive. We're just, oh, you're already relaxing pretty well. There you go. Nice. That going well?
Yep.
Excellent. Good. And then this is a little specialty we do here. Little hole. There you go. Excellent. So what I want you to do, sit up, spin the legs off, stand up, move around. Let me know how you're feeling.
I feel a lot more loose.
Loose?
Across my back, so from the top of my shoulders to like my lower back.
Awesome. Okay, that's perfect. So I'm gonna have you have a seat right here. We just finished up with the adjustments. Everything moved excellent. There wasn't a single joint that we didn't get to move, which is how I like my patients to be. Fully mobile, full spine adjustments whenever we can. Now we're gonna move into some physical therapy. The physical therapy is gonna be simple because we've already talked about it. He's essentially an athlete. You train all the time, right? And because of this, it's a lot easier for me to implement a plan, send him home with homework, and know that he's actually going to utilize it. What we're gonna do today is gonna be some clamshells, and then we're gonna review how to do some glute engagement with RDLs. We already talked about this and what we're gonna be doing moving forward, but for him to implement this at home, he's probably gonna drop the weight a little bit, work on the form, build up his muscle activation or strength, depending on where our weak points are, and then he can implement fully into training. Once this is implemented into training, he'll be able to probably lift more, or at least to be able to lift more safely, okay? So, let's do this. I'm gonna have you go on your side, facing this direction.
Really, it feels so much. I feel it probably the most in my upper area.
Feel the
here.
biggest
It feels
release
a lot
there?
more loose, but I definitely feel loose on my lower
Yeah,
back.
you moved great, so that's good. So, let me go grab this for you. You've probably done something like this before. At least
I've done it like a couple times.
Okay, so let's see how strong this is first. Bring that knee up towards me. Okay, bring it down, let your heel stay. Bend this a little bit. And now press that knee up towards my finger. Now that you're in the right position, what we're gonna be working on is glute engagement, right? So glute med's gonna help you open these hips up appropriately, give you some external rotation here. So press into my finger on the way up. Good, and where are you feeling this currently?
A lot, like under my glute and in my T-band.
Gotcha. Okay, so how we're gonna try to adapt this, slowly let this go down as you resist me. There you go. A little bit more on the glute on the way down, or is it more on the IT band?
More on the glute.
Excellent. So my goal is to get the glute med firing and not get the IT band involved too much, okay? So let's try this approach. We're gonna bend the knees a little bit more. And now push up into my hand here. More IT or more glute? Which one's?
More glute.
More glute? Excellent. So push all the way up. I want this full range of motion. Excellent. Hold that for 1 second. And now slowly resist on the way down here. Is that glute catching on fire a little bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. So you can use this as a warm-up, a cool-down, or an exercise, okay? I would start with it as a full-out exercise on its own. You might want a stronger band than this, but you're doing a pretty good job. Just 3 sets of 10, anything that's gonna get you engaged slowly and get this glute med firing. We can use that as an exercise to strengthen glute med, but we also can use it as a warm-up. So that way when we go into our working sets for squat, deadlift, anything like that, we'll already have the glute ready to do the work, okay? So the next thing we're gonna go over is gonna be standing, so we can take a second, and we'll take this off and get you upright. You're feeling that glute squeeze. It would be like if I gave you a 5-pound dumbbell, you probably wouldn't feel that till rep like 10, 15, but you'd be a lot better at engagement. Start there, work your way up, and then eventually when you get back on the machine, that machine is tough because you'll be here and pushing out. Easily it'll start to be IT band. So you really,
it's mostly IT band.
Yeah, and now you feel the difference on that engagement, so you can adapt your foot positioning and how you're using the machine to really feel glute.
Got it.
Okay? So let's do this last thing here. So stand up for me, and I'm gonna probably start with an example. You can stand over here. You're already familiar with RDLs and how we do those. So what I like with an RDL is the hip hinge, and then slowly keeping my hands close to my thighs, coming down. When I do this, I can feel the elongation of the hamstrings and even the glutes a little bit. What most people do when they do an exercise like this is they let the hips hinge, they let the hamstrings elongate, but then when they look for more depth, they start to let their back do the work here, right? And there is a healthy amount of flexion you can find in the spine. You don't have to be stick straight. You definitely don't have to be all the way extended. There's a healthy amount of flexion available. But the more we can offload into the hamstrings and glutes, the healthier our back can be, okay? So now that we've engaged the glute with that warm-up, we're gonna try to offload some of this exercise into the glutes and hamstrings and just do it with air, see if we can get the stretch and the contraction. Since you do this regularly, find whatever width works for you. And now what I want you to do is touch the hands on the thighs and let your hips hinge backwards first to start, and then slowly start to come down. Now, do you feel this in the back, the hamstrings, the glutes? Where do you feel this?
Mostly in the hamstrings and a little bit in the glutes.
Okay, gotcha. So at this point, you're at that healthy amount of flexion. So we don't want to have any more flexion than this. Go ahead and come up a little bit. I want to work on a little less range of motion. So come down about 75% of what you just did. Good. So if we were weight bearing here, this would probably be your safe range of motion. But if you start to come through a little farther, we're going to start to get flexion, and that's where, if we're weighted, it can become more of a problem for you. Okay? So the same thing can be applied to deadlifts and squats, actually. So if we can get this hip hinge and get the hamstrings and glutes loaded, then we're not going to be offloading into the back of the leg as much. It's much safer lift. Okay? Cool. So, I mean, if we can step back the training just a little bit, you know, you can probably still safely deadlift and squat because you've been doing that in your practice. But if we can step back some of the RDLs and everything like that, maybe even just the warm-up we do really consciously and specific, we get that engagement we're looking for. I should see an increase in power eventually because you're going to be offloading into the right muscle groups, right? Once that hamstrings and glutes, those hamstring and glutes are working, that's when you're probably going to get the most power output and do it safe, right? So I don't want you to be in back pain every time you squat or deadlift, right? I want it to be leg pain soreness.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I do deadlifts mainly for glutes and hamstrings, and I do squats mainly for my quads.
Awesome.
So that's where I want to feel it.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Any questions about everything?
Could you recommend maybe one more exercise that I could do as a warm-up to warm up
Yeah.
my glutes and hamstrings?
Yeah, so are you familiar with glute bridges?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say from a professional standpoint, I would usually say like glute bridges, or you can do butterfly glute bridges where you slam your feet together and push up that way, just because that's going to be great for glute med engagement. What I personally do is air RDLs, where I'm just working on getting the stretch and the squeeze. And then I like to, depending on what you're trying to emphasize, hit quad extensions or hamstring curls first.
Before squatting.
Before squatting. And I'm not looking for exhaustion. I don't want you to even get close to that. But like 3 sets of 10 where you're just barely catching the burn, you're really getting a work out of that muscle group, you're not exhausting it, is probably the best way for you to find the muscle belly you're trying to engage without overdoing it and becoming weak. So I know it's kind of a simple answer, but I love hamstring curls before deadlifts, and I love quad extensions before squats.
I definitely need to start doing that. Usually for my squat days, I'll do like air squats and maybe a couple like stretches, dynamic stretching, and then I'll just go straight into working sets.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I just think if we're trying to change our patterns, we have to warm up a little different. That's where those quad extensions, hamstring curls, glute engagement, all that stuff really comes into play. Just because then you're gonna hop in, that muscle's ready and prime. It's gonna be the one that's being.
It'll be easier to activate it when you go into your working set.
Exactly.